Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Reptile Rejects. I think we're on episode about 59 today. I'm joined by my lovely bald co-host Shan. How are you, buddy?
Not bad, not bad.
You like that
Yeah.
intro?
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I just needed a haircut, man,
There
and it
you
was
go.
pretty bad. I
It looks
sweat.
good.
I sweat lots. It'll grow back in. I'm not too worried about it.
Well, glad to have you on. Today is another great show. We're lining up some pretty damn amazing guests lately. We had Bill Stiegel last week, Patrick Holmes today. I mean, Jesus Christ, like we're hitting all the top dogs, which I love. I'm really happy. Thanks, Pat, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Look forward to this talk. Yeah. So without further ado, let's actually, you know what? No, let's do our usual. Shan, anything new this week? Anything new going on with you? Any updates you want to talk about before we start putting all the
No,
conversation on Patrick?
I'm waiting on a clutch of Brettles that's coming in like sometime this week. Yeah, that'll just be it. Pretty much same thing. Trying to get these other ones to eat, and it's same. Nothing's happening right now, so we're just working on it bit by bit. So
Nice. On my end, I mean, my last two clutches hatched last week. I'm officially out of eggs. I turned off the incubator and I decided to do a fix that I've needed to fix in my incubator for about 2 months now. Um, just to give you guys an idea, every time I would touch my incubator, the inside of the incubator, there's metal shelves. It's like a Coke incubator. But if I touched the metal shelves, I would slightly electrocute myself. So which was really lovely. So the heat tape was somehow connecting to the metal of the inside of the incubator, but I had tons of eggs in there. Like I wasn't going to try to fix it. Like I'm just like moving the plastic bins in between and making sure I don't touch anything, right? But now there's no more eggs, so I wasted like an hour, and I swear I cannot find where the leak is. There's something touching somewhere, and I've tried every single thing. I've removed an At this point, I've removed the entire tape. I've put like plastic around the entire tape, and I'm still getting electrocuted on the goddamn machine. So anyway, that's been my pleasure. And the funny thing is, I touch it, I don't get electrocuted. But if I wet my fingers and then I touch, I'm like, ooh, which all electricians will tell you, don't wet your fingers before touching metal. But I need to figure out where the heck that short circuit is. Like it's not dangerous electricity. It's just like 120 volt, but that's been what I did yesterday for about an hour and a half, and I still can't find where the leak is. Anyway, so that's been my fun times. Except for that, we should receive our CITES permits for our export pretty soon. We've both Shan and I have been dealing with that, and we are like on the verge of getting it finalized, which is nice. So that should sell off a good about 60 to 70 animals, which
yeah,
I'm looking forward to.
pretty happy about
And
that.
yeah, I'm pretty damn happy about that. Yeah, except for that, no real updates. Animals are being fed, babies are being fed, and life is good. Patrick, welcome. Thanks for joining on. And
Thanks
what's
for
new with you,
having me.
man? Anything new in your collection?
Oh, um, man, that's a complicated question. Um, Before we get into any of that, I have to ask, are you guys where are y'all exporting stuff to?
So we
Japan.
do one, yeah. So we do one. We have one big client in Japan that we've acquired a couple
Gotcha.
of years ago, and once a year we
Nice.
do one big shipment there to one client. But he literally buys almost like three
So
quarters of our animals.
so I know you don't
Oh,
know much.
nice.
I know you don't know much about us. We're Canadian, first of all.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're different. I know you're from Texas. Yeah, no,
I
but
think it's
Yeah,
just
just
there's a
yeah,
the Morelia market in Canada is very different, right? Because we're talking
yeah,
about animals that are protected and can't go out. So we can't ship to the United States, nor can you ship to us, right? The United States, you guys are like the
gotcha.
only country in the whole world that for some reason the CITES don't work well. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's really difficult, right?
That's wild.
So sending things across the border with fish and wildlife, they put a lot of extra barriers that put a lot of like I don't know if it's going to work. So I'm not saying it's never worked, but I'm saying it's very, very often doesn't work for that reason. Animals from the States don't move to Canada. Canada animals don't move to the States. They used to, and sometimes one person manages to do it, but
Yeah.
it's so much work for the not knowing if it's going to work. So for us, like usually when we get animals, let's say we want animals from Nick Mutton, most of the times it'll go from Nick all the way to UK Python and from UK Python back to
Wow.
us, or things like that. And that's, we're able to import and export Appendix 2 animals. Just the United
Yeah.
States is just, we love you guys, but you're a pain in the ass when it comes to imports and exports. So
Yeah,
you're,
that's wild. I just always I don't like know a whole lot about the details of all of that. If I need anything to go in or out of Canada, I just always talk to Ashley about it. And I don't know any of the things that people have to do to make it happen. I just send people money and let them handle all of that.
but
So
the difference is with Ashley. I can tell you, Ashley does like it's not Jesus Christ, it's not appendix to animals, right? She's not getting
yeah,
and that's why like when people ship green tree pythons from here to there, no problem. You can
yep,
anything that is non-CITES is not a problem. It's the appendix 2 that seems to be a really
yeah,
like a pain in the ass. I don't know what else to say. Like, and for other countries, like we mainly only deal with Japan, but we've imported animals that are CITES too, and I've had zero issues. And Japan, it's
yeah.
purely just a fact of you just apply for your permits, fill the lineage charts, and I've had like we've done it 5 years in a row now, and we've had 1 year where I got like letters from the government back saying, "Hey, explain what this is. I don't really get your lineage chart, or why is it that you have two mothers, but their lineage chart are the same. And you're like, well, they're two sisters, and
Yeah.
like I've had like little things like that of explaining my lineage charts, but overall they've been like pretty worry free. It takes about 6 weeks to get our permits, and then once I have them, I ship him off to my Japan buyer, and then he gets his import permits with my permits, and then within 2 weeks we can ship. So
That's
it's
nice. You do you guys predominantly work with Morelia?
Yes.
yes, we both are very like I'd say
We do
90,
we
well,
do
eighty
have other
percent is really.
stuff, but 80% of our
Yeah,
stuff is Morelia. And,
nice.
and truthfully, to be honest, we're probably what three guys in Canada total that are really truly like Don Dom and I are pretty much the only ones that really have like a lot of carpet pythons.
There's like I don't know exactly what people's collections are like right now, but and some guys that have gotten away from some of that. But at one point in time, there was more people than that just in the like North Texas area that had a bunch of carpet pythons, like guys within an hour from where I'm at or whatever. I used to I used to do some carpets and I still do Brettles, and I've got diamonds too.
Nice.
But one of these days I need another room. I'd like to I have snakes in like I have six snake rooms already, but I need another one for locality boas and carpet pythons. I just don't have another room.
Okay,
So
so first question is, do you do this full time or do you have a job on the side?
no, I have a full-time job
All
too.
right, so you're like us. We have full time jobs.
And what's your
You
job,
do
just
this
by
Yeah.
as a
curiosity?
hobby.
Yeah, I'm if you mean like y'all are psychopaths like I am, then yeah, I guess so. Um, I don't I get away with it because I don't have any kids. Um, my day job, I work for a pest control company, but we have a service company, but we also have shops where we do retail and wholesale pest control and lawn care products. And so I have my own shop, and it's the retail like walk-in stuff is DIY customers in Texas. We can sell. There are very few pesticides that are restricted to where somebody has to have a license to buy them in this state.
Nice.
It's not the same in every state. Um, and a lot of the stuff that we can sell to people walking in off the street doesn't even exist in New York and California. So, um, anyways, I also do a lot of wholesale, so I've got a lot of pest control companies and landscaping companies and stuff that come in and buy. whatever fertilizers and pesticides and stuff like that. And so that's it's a sales job, but it's also a management. I mean, I run the shop by myself, so it's a management job, and I do some outside sales for services and all kinds of stuff. I have a lot of people's jobs that I do. Um, Fortunately, my employer is a longtime friend of mine, and his parents had shops like this when we were kids, and they also had pet stores. And so I grew up working for his parents in their pet stores, and we kind of grew up together doing that. And he's a reptile guy, and so one of my snake rooms is a big chunk of the warehouse at work that I use for quarantine and for overwintering stuff. And so my like first level of quarantine is 15 miles from my house, and stuff has to pass through there before it's allowed to come over here. Um, and but yeah, so it's nice to be able to like, Mike knows that I do snake stuff when in any of my downtime at work. I'm doing, reptile related stuff, answering questions or doing social media stuff or whatever. And and it's cool to be able to keep animals up there when I need to.
That's cool. I think some people don't realize how hard it is to work a full time job when you have a much larger collection. And
Oh yeah.
so where I'm going to go with this is as a quick average number. What's the number of your collection? Let's say including babies or excluding babies. And then if you don't mind, when you say 6 rooms, I really want to know: do you have a quarantine room, a baby room? Do you have a cold room, hot room? Do you have like? I'm
Yes.
very curious to understand like I want to know what your 6 rooms are like, because like I could
Yeah.
use 2 or 3 rooms, but
I'd
six
like to
rooms
know
like
what's in his collection, period. At
yeah,
the end of the day,
Yeah.
if you can let
Yeah,
me know.
I was wondering if you guys had actually like scrolled
I I
much on my
I
Instagram.
did a little bit. I know
I've,
that you
I've
do
heard hundreds
hots.
of your podcasts. Like you've been on so many,
I
so
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, a lot of people just know me as a chondro guy. And rightfully so, because as far as I'm aware, I have the biggest private collection of green tree pythons in the world. So I have a lot of green trees. And I'll answer the question first about the stuff that I keep. I was on Steven's show the other day, and we went down the list, and I wasn't. I'm not sure if it was complete or not, but he was like counting while I was like rattling stuff off, and it, I think we came up with me having 45 species of snakes, and about half of those are vipers, as far as the number of species. So I do green tree pythons, and I have like everything. I have all the common localities, all of the popular designer lines, bunch of outcrosses and mutts thereof, and all of that. I've got high yellow stuff and blue stuff and black stuff and calico stuff, and so like just all the designer stuff as well. And then I do Brettles pythons and diamond pythons. I have Moluccan pythons, barneck scrubs, southern scrubs. I think that's it for pythons. And then I have emerald tree boas, Amazon basin emerald tree boas, Amazon tree boas, a few Jamaican boas, one Dominican boa. She's gonna go. I used to keep a few Dominicans and just kind of started backing out of that. And um, I think that's all of the boas. I mean, I have a couple that I'm babysitting for a friend right now. I've got a really nice little Guyana and a Bolivian boa, and I love all of that stuff. I'm obsessed with the true red tails and a lot of locality boas. Um, and absolutely I'm really big on just normal carpet pythons. And like I was saying a minute ago, if I had another room, I would just fill it up with 4 foot cages and be half boas and half carpet pythons because you can keep them at the same ambient temperatures that I run everything else at. But then I do with colubrids, I have a lot of mangrove snakes. I have divergens, which are the blue Philippines ones. I was the second person in the US to breed those. as far as I know, only 3 people have done it, and looks like I'm striking out this year, but I did it 4 years in a row. Nobody else has done that in the States. I, as far as I can tell, um, I don't think any, there's very few people that even have pairs of them. I have, uh, I guess like 10 adults or something like that, just of the divergence. And then I do the Sulawesi black mangroves and then the melanota, which are like the big classic black and yellow mangrove snakes. Um, Total, I think I have 20, I don't know, 20, a couple dozen mangrove snakes or something. And then I have some North American colubrids. So I do Okatee corn snakes, Stillwater hypo bulls, and a few Stillwater hypo combos. So all of my bull snakes are Stillwater hypos, but I've got, I just hatched out a clutch of white side Stillwaters, and I have some Miami Azanthic Stillwaters, so ghost, Miami ghosts, or whatever you want to call them. And then Baird's rat snakes and Mexican pine snakes. I have one black pine snake that I'm raising up that I'll eventually pair up. I think that's it for North American colubrids. And then, and I don't have a ton. I've got like, you know, I don't know, like less than 10 adult corn snakes, probably a dozen adult bull snakes. Um, I have 7 of the Mexican pines, and most of those are still raising up. But the and I wish I had space for more of that because I love the bull snakes. I'd have a whole room full of bull snakes if I had the space and the time for it. I love all the pits, and there's a lot of North American stuff I would keep if they just they require, they eat more and they're higher maintenance because of the amount of cleaning and water, and they're just big and messy. So you have to keep that limited. Unfortunately, probably moving a lot of that stuff out until to another spot until I can get another couple of rooms closer here. I'm trying to move one of my friends over to my neighborhood to and rent a couple of his rooms so that we can do that closer to me. I think I'm gonna have to shift everything over here to tropical and move my temperate stuff to a different spot um, for just practical reasons. But um, like right now, I take all of my temperate stuff to work for the winter because I don't have a spot here that can get cold enough for it. Um,
It's crazy that they let you do that. That's just insane.
yeah, well, yeah, like I mean, Mike loves it, and it's where like it's just part of the program with me. It's like people ask me if I would like about girls coming over or dating or people being into reptiles, and that's just is well, when I rented this house, I told the guy right off the bat. At the time, I only had like I don't know, 115 snakes or something like that. And that, like, a lot of people sneak around with their landlords with the stuff that they have in their house. And I just, when I realized he was the owner of the house, I met him over here. I was actually sit right where I'm at. Um, and I told him, um, I was like, look, man, I've got a whole bunch of snakes. And so like I just have to tell you that up front. It's part of the deal. And he was fascinated and started asking me a bunch of questions and stuff. So I knew that was I knew I was in there when he would like kind of lit up over it. And the guy is my landlord is become a friend of mine. He's super cool, but he's African. He's been here for like 25 years, but a lot of African and Indian people are horrified of snakes, and rightfully so. Like they literally are born in like the places where
Agreed.
snake bite is like a massive like human health issue, you know. And there's what like 40,000 envenomations a year in India or whatever. Like the numbers are crazy. In the United States, 5 or 6 people die every year from snake bite. Like find another cause of death that kills less people than snakes in the United States, the most obscure causes of death kill more people than snakes do in the US. But anyways, he's like, he's like, so like you're not married, you don't have kids, why do you need 3 bedrooms? And I was like, love a lot of snakes. And he's like, oh, okay. But the thing is, this is a duplex, and my neighbors next door were really cool. I'm sure you guys, everybody who keeps snakes hears this all the time, but when they found out I had snakes, dude was like, "Oh, I used to have a couple of ball pythons," and then you have to be like, "Oh yeah, cool," And but now he's breeding snakes because I got him back into it with some Brettles pythons and some Amazon tree boas. So,
That's
but
genius, genius.
Right?
Guaranteeing
yeah,
you're not going to have
Right.
an issue with
Get
your
your
neighbor.
neighbors involved.
yes, and but I mean, his wife was on board, and that's been a cool little thing, man. They were a super young couple when I moved in over here. Now they have 3 kids, and they just moved back to Texas. But anyways, they told me they were moving out and buying a property in Mississippi, and I'm like, shit, what kind of neighbors am I gonna get now? These neighbors are cool as shit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not getting any neighbors. And I called Victor and I was like, hey man, whenever Quinn moves out, I'm renting the other side too. And he's like, for snakes? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna fill it up with snakes. And he's like, all right, bet. Because it's easy for him, just who didn't have to try to clean it up or find anybody to rent it or anything. So now I rent the whole thing.
That's a pretty
And so I
cool
have,
landlord. That's a pretty
it's
cool
super
land.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. So this house has brown concrete floors, and the 2 upstairs bedrooms on this side are snake rooms, and then the house on the other side is all snakes. So that's 5 rooms. The 2 bedrooms over there, plus the kitchen and dining room, living room. It's all just one big room. So that's the main snake room, and then the 6th room is my space at the shop. Um, so over here upstairs. One room is, I call it the baby room, but there's quite a few vipers in there that are not babies because they're really small snakes and they can, anything that's in that whole room is like every inch of wall to the ceiling is 6 and 15 quart racks. And so anything that can fit in a 6 or 15 quart rack is in that room. And well, not anything. I have some small stuff over on the other side too, some smaller vipers and whatnot. But um, all the babies and a lot of small vipers are up there. The other room upstairs is all chondros, and there's all my gravid Amazon tree boas are all up there right now, and then all all or almost all of my emeralds are up there. Um, but that's about to change. So I have these uh, like I need to post these things more, but I have these badass extra large Cambro racks from Focus Cube. So they hold they're 4 high of the like really big Cambro tubs. I've got a wall of them up there right now, and then some tubs on shelves and some PVC cages. In a few weeks, all the rest of that shit's coming out of there. And actually, even all the racks that are up there are going over next door because the new batch of racks have a slight modification, and so that room upstairs is going to be all XL Cambro racks for grow out chondros and grow out basins or uh, small male chondros. Some chondros are small enough to live in one of those XL Cambro tubs. I don't like to get my males real big. Um, and then some more of those racks will be in 2 of the rooms next door. So the rooms next door, one of them is my permanent quarantine room, and so that's all chondros and a few Brettles pythons that all have nidovirus. So they're like their own thing over there. And then the other room was supposed to be a venomous room, but currently it has all my North American colubrids. Oh, I also forgot to mention earlier, I have Gila monsters and beaded lizards too. So I've got 2.3 adult Gilas and 1.2 adult beaded lizards. Um, The Gilas and North American colubrids are all in that room, plus a shitload of vipers, some of my Brettles, all of my adult Nido negative Brettles are up there. So I've got 2.4 adults that I produced that are clean, and then there's 2.2 adults that have Nido in the quarantine room. The room that has the venomous stuff in there, and there's a handful of Amazons and chondros in there too. Um, that room has a huge walk-in closet, and I'm trying to turn that into a cold room, but not for overwintering stuff. It won't be a brumation room, although I could probably like slide some stuff in there. There's like shelves in the top of the closet. I could probably stack tubs and slide some stuff in there if I needed to brumate things in there. But it's going to be for montane vipers. I have Shan vipers and uh, two-stripe forest palm vipers, and um, I don't even remember what the common name is for Bothricus bicolor. Uh, Guatemalan palm viper, maybe that may that may be right. Um, but yeah, a few species that like it a little bit. Oh, and then I've got Bothricus aurifer too, which are yellow blotched palm vipers. So, some Central American montane species, and then the Mangshans that like it cooler. Um, might end up putting diamond pythons in there too. Might not, probably not because of the humidity that I want to have in there. But um, so yeah, that'll be. I'm still working out the kinks on the right way to keep that room cool. I've gone around a couple of different ideas, and I think I'm just gonna slide just a portable AC unit in there. But I've got to drop it by like 20, 25 degrees every single night. So it's gonna be a it's going to be interesting. I don't necessarily have to. It's to drop it that far. I may end up keeping it cooler during the day and using heating elements in there for the animals. I haven't really figured it out. So, um, and I said I had all these vipers. I didn't really go down the list, and I probably won't like say everything, but most of my stuff is arboreal. I have some terrestrial stuff. I have rhino vipers and gaboon vipers and puff adders and um, Ethiopian mountain adders, those are Vitis parviocula. So those are all of those are Vitis species. And then I have rock rattlesnakes and Zabcan rattlesnakes. I think that's all the terrestrials. And then I have a shitload of eyelash vipers, a bunch of squams, the variable bush vipers, all different colors of both of those. And
Ancillaris.
then I do
Ancil.
have blue
Oh,
insularis. I produced blue insularis last year for the first time.
those are
Then I have
beautiful.
black phase. They are beautiful, and man, the ones that I had last year, like even the ones that were born like aqua turned blue. So I'm really excited to see what the ones that were born really blue, like how they end up looking when they're fully mature. I had 12 babies. I kept a trio of them, and I'll breed them again. The parents will go back together here. Well, whenever the female shows some follicles here in a few weeks, probably. Um, and I have black-faced purple spot vipers. I had a litter of those. That female had 18 fucking babies this year, which is wild. Um, I I came home and she was having babies. I knew she was close, and I counted like seven in there, and I told somebody that I thought she had maybe two more to go. And then I came back in and there was like 15 in there. And I'm like, shit. And I ended up being 18 babies and one slug. That was cool. I've kept purple spot vipers since 2008 and Tried to breed one pair several years ago with no luck. Just tried once. And then tried to breed this pair 2 years ago, and she gave me 13 slugs. But this year the male got it done. Um, I have the Montaigne stuff that I mentioned, a few other rare random species. Like I have Craspidocephalus malabaricus, Malabar vipers. I have Parias McGregori. Those are McGregor's vipers. I have the white phase and the yellow phase. Um, Trimeresurus gramineus. I can't even remember the common name for those. I don't know. I'm sure I'm forgetting. Oh, Sri Lankan palm vipers, the trigons, the Craspidocephalus trigonocephalus. Those are fucking cool snakes, man. Um, yeah, so a lot of venomous stuff. I probably have, with babies, I've got, I mean, way over 100 vipers right now. And then you asked about the total collection number. Without babies, like just the collection, grow ups and breeders, I haven't counted in a long time, man. Um, Not since last year, but it's it's under 400, but maybe not by much. And then I don't have a ton of babies right now. I've just hatched out some bulls, got some grow up chondros, and I maybe have, I don't know, if I was just throwing a number out there, there's like 450 snakes or something like that.
Yeah, that's blowing my mind. The fact that you're still working full time and you have
Right.
that amount of animals, like blowing
That's
my mind.
crazy.
Because like my collection is probably around 50 to 60 adults slash grow ups, plus anywhere between 50 to 150 babies every year. So right now I've got
Yeah,
maybe about 50 baby carpets that are born this year, and they're all pretty much leaving like within the next month or two,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
like, but 450 animals, like all I'm thinking is the amount of time. Like my
Right.
collection takes me about two and a
Just
half
to
hours to do
clean.
a full clean
Oh,
and water changes. Like in 2.5 hours I can do everything. But that's for like 60,
yeah.
70, or 100 plus the babies, right? At your number to clean all your rooms, you've got about 12 hours probably of cleaning to do everything. And like, so you're obviously splitting it over time, but like, all I'm thinking
Yeah.
about is the amount of time that is dedicated to that over the top of working. Like, to me, that should be your full time job.
It should be, but I don't trust animal breeding as like a full-time, um, income. It's just too, especially with the stuff that I work with, I'm not breeding reliable stuff. I'm not breeding ball pythons and whatnot. And the corn snakes and bull snakes that I breed, I do that strictly for fun. I give away a lot of that stuff, and like to like my one of my friends' kids wants a snake, I'll give them a corn snake, or when I say give them away, like I sell them to my friends for like nothing, next to nothing. Um, and because I a few times sold some stuff wholesale to flippers, and flippers are not all bad, but a lot of them are. And um, a lot of these guys just do like bare minimum with those animals. And I sold a guy a dozen. I had a huge litter of Brettles pythons. Fucking love Brettles pythons. Brettles pythons are like one of the most underrated pet snakes, period. They're
they're hard to get
fucking
started,
amazing.
though, I find.
Man, look, I don't, what are you offering yours?
I've offered them everything. Trust me, man.
You
ASFs,
know how
live ASFs, live mice, live rat pinkies.
I
I've
have had
frozen everything.
I've had I produced my first Brettles in 2011. I have had two baby Brettles pythons refuse food. Two ever. And one of those, it just turned out that it wanted pinkies instead of fuzzies, and one of those, it just took me a little bit longer to get it taking fuzzies. With the exception of those two, every clutch I've ever hatched of Brettles pythons, every single baby ate frozen thawed fuzzy mice off of tongues immediately first try. Every single one of them. Like
Wow,
that's they
that's crazy. I don't know.
I like
So the two things we're having issues with. So I breed the Brettles. So last year the Brettles were terrible. So I'm thinking this year they're going to be bad. We'll see what happens. Like I'm about to have
Yeah.
a bunch of babies, and
Are
inland.
you, yeah, you said you were waiting on some. You've got eggs incubating right now?
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
two.
Mine are usually hatching in like 2 weeks, and I only one of my females went this year. I bred two younger girls, but I just kind of tentatively threw males on them. I never saw them locked up. They're kind of hanging out together. And it was their first year. Neither of them went, but I've got an older female and she still hasn't fucking laid yet, man. I'm still waiting on eggs from one of my
That's
girls.
late.
It's possible
Yeah.
though. It's definitely possible.
No, it is. Last year I got eggs in early August. Um, and but the weather has been weird, and I paired everything up a month later. I put everything down a month late last year. I paired everything up a month later. So I'm like, my bull snakes just hatched this week, and usually that's a July thing too. My Baird's rat snakes are still have a few days left, and I usually get those in late July. So everything's at least a month behind. But this girl, she had her prelay shed like weeks ago too, man. She's driving me crazy with it. It's a hypo het stripe female that I bred to a hypo het stripe male. Have you guys know who uh oh my gosh. Wow, really? My brain just went completely blank.
It's all good.
It'll come back to me in a minute.
So I'm breeding
And
genetic stripe myself. Is that what you're
I
doing?
love this.
Yeah.
I love the stripes. I haven't produced any stripes yet, but I will with this litter or with this clutch, and assuming she gives me fertile eggs. She's an older girl, but she's like 12 years old, but I think she's only been bred 3 times or something like that. Like he just wasn't wearing her out, breeding her, and Nick produced the pair, their siblings, and the arguably the nicest striped hypo I've ever seen came from this pair. Um, but anyways, yeah, I don't. It's weird to me that you're having trouble with those. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say that they had trouble
I
starting
I wonder if
their
it's
Brettles.
because they're different lines. You know how there's multiple different lines. I wonder if
Possibly,
certain lines are worse than that. And what Sham was about to say earlier is something that's even worse than our. I think I'm going to crown the worst Morelia to get started has got to be inlands. Our
oh, that's what I just heard to
inlands
say the inlands.
are terrible. Like just the pickiest feeders ever. I think they're even worse than your Bredleys, aren't they?
How
They're
do you have
Sham.
them set up?
they're pretty close. So
They,
for us babies, we have them set up in a 6 quart with we have a special 3D printed thing so they can have
little
basically
perch.
yeah, perch, and then like the dish sits in there, right? Easy to
Yeah,
clean kind of thing, you know.
yeah. Have you tried throwing like some cardboard egg crate or toilet paper tubes or paper towel tubes in there for hides?
Okay.
I would try that. I used to give perches, and a lot of times perches help because they're like ambush predators and extremely arboreal when they're babies.
Right.
Um, I mean that applies to so many
So
snakes
so I'm
that
thinking maybe with half PVC, like like a 3 inch or a 4 inch. I cut those in half, and I use those as
yeah
little
that
hides. Maybe I'll try that.
yep. Yeah, that works too. And but Bredl's pythons specifically, as adults in the wild, they stuff themselves into tree hollows. So like I keep cork tubes with, well, I keep cork tubes with like almost like all of my adult scrubs, the Bredls, the diamonds, the Amazon tree boas, all of the mangrove snakes, all of them have cork tubes in their cages. And part of that is because they like it. Part of it sucks because I never see my Amazon tree boas. Um, but when I'm everything over here is wired for efficiency. And I just reach in and grab a cork tube because I do all my maintenance in the morning, reach in and grab a cork tube and pull the whole snake out of there and set the tube in a tub and do my thing and throw the snake back in there. And so it sucks that I don't get to see my animals as much with some of them because they're just stuffed in there a lot. But I'm saying that to say with the baby Brettles, like I set mine up with just a little a quarter. I buy the like stacks of the sheets of cardboard egg crate, and when I cut them into quarters, the 1/4 fits into the 6 quart like perfectly. It just slides right into the back. And so that's how I've always done my Brettles because they feel like they feel perched when they're on top of it because it's got that texture, and but they can also hide underneath it. But so you could try that, but you could also, man, whether you use PVC or just toilet paper or paper towel tubes, they love stuffing themselves into something cylindrical, like specifically Brettles pythons. A lot of the snakes I keep like that, but Brettles pythons love that shit. And what I find with most baby snakes um, that are rodent eaters, like the it seems to be a security thing. The one Brettles that I had that was only wanting to eat pinky mice, and it took me a while to figure that out. And I offered him a pinky, and I was like, maybe these fuzzies are just, freaking him out or whatever. And I offered him a pinky, and he took it. So I got to where I was feeding this thing like 3 and 4 and 5 pinky mice at a time. And then I gave him to Quinn when Quinn still lived next door. That was the thing that like started the snake thing again because I'm like, hey, I got this Brettles. It's a pain in the ass, and I'm just gonna give him to you if you want him. So we set him up in a 10-gallon aquarium with a screen top and a heat light on it and a couple of sticks and a piece of cork bark or cork tube that we zip tied to the lid of the aquarium so that it would just like lift out with the lid, but it had elevated hide. And I said it, well, I went over there, helped him set it up. And I said, I was like, man, I'll come over and feed it the first time and we'll, and show you how I feed it. And then I'll give you some pinkies to throw in the freezer. Well, I was feeding other babies already over here. And so I walk over there with a pinky and we go in there and that thing's perched up on the fucking cork tube, like he's in the cork tube and he's got his doing ambush pose hanging out of it. And I was like, son of a bitch. I came back over here and grabbed a fuzzy instead and walked over there. I mean, he's been living in this house for like, I took him over the day before. Like, it's not like he's like spent a bunch of time acclimating in this enclosure, but I saw it, and I was like, and I brought the pinky back over and I went back over there with a fuzzy and I went in there and he just fucking smashed it instantly. So there's just sometimes some little shift in the
Comfort.
setup. Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot to be said for what the person that comes to mind when I think about this term is Quetzal Dwyer at Reptilandia, but the term contact security, like different. So like if you take a rock rattlesnake and you put it on a flat, smooth surface, they do not fucking like it, man. They like won't sit still and they feel you can just tell they're uncomfortable. You put them on a piece of cardboard egg crate, and dude, they just instantaneously you see this complete shift in their movement and their demeanor, and they dig down onto it, and it feels like rocks underneath them. That's contact security. When you when a snake is stuffed into a cork tube, when I ship snakes, I hate it when I see people shipping snakes like loosely in a container. When I ship animals, I stuff them into the smallest container that I can get them into, and it dramatically reduces their stress, man, because they can push out against the sides, right? That's what they want to do. They feel secure when they're stuffed into something because that's what they do in the wild. When I ship baby chondros, I ship them perched, man. I run a plastic coat hanger through a screw lid shipping container, and they sit on the perch. And I've had people criticize that, and I'm like, motherfucker, these things like live through tropical storms on sticks every day of their entire life in the wild. Like shipping them on a perch is totally fine. And Ed Marino does that with his basins too. So again, it's contact security, man. I've done a lot of snake photography, and I have a friend that's a pro photographer, and we would do snake photography workshops. And Don has these bowls of various sizes that have a zip tie run through them for a little handle. And we got a snake that's starting to freak out. We like scoop it up and put the bowl over the top of it, and and let it chill for a minute, and the snake will feel that and relax, and hopefully get into a cool coil. And then Don will get the camera ready again, and I'll snatch that bowl off of there real quick, and hopefully we can get a couple more shots before the smooth surface starts to freak it out again or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So
You get like a
try
bowl
try
that's
that.
somewhat opaque so you can actually see where it is when you pull the bowl right before.
Nope.
It's just a
They're
black
metal
bowl.
bowls. And if it's something dangerous and springy underneath the bowl, I use a hook to pick the bowl up instead of my hand. Um, I have I've been keeping venomous reptiles for 30 31 years, something like that. And um, I've been handling, I caught my first copperhead when I was 12 in like, spring of 93 or something. And um, knock on wood, I've never had a medically significant envenomation. From a snake, I got bit by a Gila monster one time, and while I did not get medical attention, it was a medically significant bite. It was fucked up. Um,
Did it
but
bite on and latch? Because aren't they more like rear molars that are kind of chew and chomp on you? Like
yeah, they're not molars. They're
sorry.
fucking daggers in the back of their
Okay.
mouth. But yes, rear. They are chewing,
So
and
you
and
got
the
chewed
tip
is what
of
you're
the.
trying to say.
I did not. I got unlucky. I got lucky that she bit me in a spot where I was able to snatch her off before she could chew on me. But the amount of it was on my side. I got bit right here on my side, and she like because yanked her off of me when she bit down. There was a lot of like big slashing, like gashes. Um, and the and I got a good envenomation. She just because she got me with the side of her mouth, she like I was holding her like this, and she like bit sideways, so that all the venom glands right there in the back is where the skin got pinched up into her mouth. And because that skin is thin and comes away from the rib cage real easily, she just pinched up like a really good chunk of skin. And so when I tore her off, it just tore through that like folded up skin. So I had these big open like gashes in my side. Um, and it was shitty, dude. It hurt. Their venom is designed to create pain. And it's not for predation. It's defensive venom, and that's their bite is specifically designed to get shit to let go of them and leave.
And that was the
Like,
the Gila, not the beadeds, right?
yeah, that was the
Okay.
Gila.
Because
That was
I've
that was 20
so
that was 25 years ago.
oh wow.
Uh, and yeah, she fucked me up real good, man. But I still have scars from it, and it went necrotic. Their venom is not like doesn't directly cause necrosis, but there was enough tissue damage and just like I mean, it turned black. I could smell it. Like it was not cool. Um, other than that, I've had some really close calls and whatnot. Um, but and plenty of close calls. I Something happens at least once a month that makes me like call myself stupid or make some little adjustment in what I'm doing. And it's 100% of the time, it's one of three things. I am, well, one of them, if I'm feeding, it's honestly because I'm rushing. I was going to say rushing, feeding, or photographing, but really the feeding. I only ever make mistakes when I'm in a hurry. So it's being in a hurry or or trying to like um, get a good get a good picture, you know. So, but the reason I'm saying all that is when you were talking about me pulling the bowl off. I've kept so many snakes for so long that I just have I don't have to think about strike ranges and like what's safe. It's like being a boxer or a fighter. Like you know when you're in the pocket and what the range is, and when as soon as you get in with somebody, you're measuring and stepping and like testing somebody's range and speed, and these animals are like that too. It's like decades of tens of thousands of repetitions, and so it's just I don't have to think about the stuff that I'm doing. But because I'll get in a hurry because I have way too many fucking snakes, um, I've had eyelash viper brush my knuckles a couple of times, or eyelashes are they're not very toxic, but you don't want to get bit by one. Eyelash vipers are like a great like beginner venomous because they're readily available, captive bred. They're super hardy, like bulletproof snakes. You can set them up any way you want, and they thrive as long as they have fresh water and enough humidity and like a general tropical temperature range. Like you can do all the way from basic paper and plastic to like full wall sized, paludarium or whatever, and they'll thrive in anything you put them in. But um, the only thing that anybody, but especially beginner, has to be careful with eyelash vipers is their strike range is fucking nuts, dude. It is nuts. It's like most snakes strike like 30 to 50% of their body length. Eyelash vipers absolutely can. They don't always do it. They can strike easy 80% of their body length because they anchor their tail and launch. And so when I move my eyelash vipers up from 6 quarts to 15 quarts and out of the 15s into whatever else I'm putting them in, it's because it's not because they've outgrown the tub. It's because their strike range has outgrown the feeding utensils that I use for that rack. And so when I'm going through, I can go into my baby room and I've got piles of pinkies and fuzzies and poppers, and I'm just like I slide tubs out with a pair of like big tweezers or a hook or whatever because it's nighttime and fucking all the snakes are flying out trying to eat me, and so I can go through and just bam, 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 like feed a whole bunch of snakes really fast. But with those eyelash vipers, man, especially in the 6 quarts, like I'll because of the heat signature, I'll slide that tub and go to offer, and they'll sail right past that prey item, dude, right past it. And I've off the top of my head twice had an eyelash viper's nose like brush my knuckles while I was offering food, and I'm like, oh shit.
So
Yeah,
that
man.
go ahead, Dom.
No, go Shant. Go for it.
So that being said, do you carry anti venom just in case, or do you
Nope,
no?
nope. I should, but man, I have a lot of different species. Anti-venom is not cheap.
No, no, I get
There's
it.
certain there's certain things that I've talked to some people and I have some connections and I'm considering starting to keep anti-venom for some of the more dangerous stuff
Yeah.
and things that are harder to get anti-venom for. But like I'll never keep it like Crofab or Anavip or whatever, um, unless I can just get it so cheap that I want to take it with me so they're not charging me, 20K a vial or whatever retarded. The hospitals mark that in the United States, the hospitals mark that shit up like 100-fold from what it actually costs. Um, I I know I have a friend that got bit on the index finger by a squam. It was what he didn't make a dumb mistake. It was a big adult female, and squams will like launch sometimes, and she launched out of the cage at him, and she caught herself by his finger with her fangs, and then he grabbed her like kind of as a reflex, and she just dumped into the end of his finger. This dude, and they're not considered deadly most of the time, but everybody's different. This guy is an extremely fit person. He's just a little older than me, and he is a SWAT cop and a ex-military special forces, used to fight MMA, used to do CrossFit. The dude is jacked and healthy and disciplined and just in good shape. And that snake fucked him up, man. He almost died. And he got his hospital bill, and it was $1.35 million. I saw it. I'm not just like, this isn't like
That's crazy.
something I heard. I saw his hospital bill, and he told us privately because he's just the type of guy. Well, he's a private guy, but he's also not the type of person to brag about this because he's extremely humble and grateful for it. But the VA went to that hospital and said, we're the government and you're a county hospital, and this is how much the bill's going to be. And then they paid it.
What's
So
the
they,
VA? Sorry, I don't know what that means.
oh, that's the Veteran Association for like he's
Wow.
because he was in the military, and
Wow.
That's awesome.
so like yeah, and so they negotiated it down to like whatever 30 grand or something like that because that's probably about how much it costs the hospital to fucking for all of his treatments. You know what I'm saying? And they charge him $1.35 million. Um, but I saw one the other day from a guy that got bit by a timber rattlesnake because he picked it up knowing full well what it was. And my brother saw a picture of this guy holding the rattlesnake, having already been bitten by it twice, and he's still holding it. And he went to the hospital, and I don't know this for a fact, but from what I gather, he left the hospital because he had already racked up a close to a $500,000 bill, and they told him not to leave yet, and he did, and he died. This is just happened locally.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that there's certain bills in the States you don't have to pay back, and medical bills, some people just don't ever pay them. Um,
I
I,
I I did that one
I
time. I
is
got
that a thing that
scammed.
you can get away with not paying your medical bills? I don't quite get it, but
Yeah, yeah, I think it really depends on how much it is, and it can really mess up your credit, like really, really mess up your credit. But after like I think it's like after like 7 years or something like that, it like stops being reported the same way. I can't remember what it is. I got scammed by a like roadside ER one time, and they billed me $11,500 for some bullshit. And I won't tell the story, but I went in there with a stomach ache, and they misdiagnosed me with a chronic condition that I don't have, let me leave with an untreated stomach infection, and they billed me $11,500 for it. And I tried to talk to somebody on the phone about it, and I didn't like her attitude, and she didn't like the things I was saying to her, and I hung up on her, and I just never paid any of it. So, you know, I have a great fucking credit score
uh,
now.
yeah, It's just because when I'm hearing that, like I'm thinking anybody with a normal job, whatever job it is that you make 60 to 100 grand or whatever it is where you're living comfortably, any type of hospital bill like that will put anybody at a bankruptcy stage,
Yeah,
right? So I'm
yeah,
thinking like
it's devastating.
you just go bankrupt, you lose the debt, and then you have 7 years of shit credit until you can start rebuilding. Like to me in my head, that's the only solution. Like it's just so
It
ridiculous.
is. It is, and that whole system. Well, I won't get into that conversation, but that system is broken and needs fixing. But it's, it's tricky. It's a tricky line to walk. Um, People like to compare our healthcare to other countries, but people are very one-sided in their comparisons because of their leanings. So
Well, there,
there's give and
I
take
was
with
gonna say
everything.
there's good and bad. You know what? Like everybody likes to think that Canada is 1,000 times better, but there's advantages to both. I mean, us in our case, I get bitten by a snake. Let's be honest. I'm just gonna go to the hospital. It's gonna cost me
Yeah,
nothing. It's 100% going to be free from start to end. Will I get the perfect care? Maybe not. Maybe it'll take longer. It'll be about I'll get there and they'll be like, well, we don't have snake venom, and they're going to try everything to fly it out, and it might take me 36, 48 hours before it actually gets here, right? So will I survive? I don't know. But we also don't live in a country where we have that many venomous snakes, that many available. I know where there is anti venom. I can tell you which zoos have them and all that. But then the zoos
yeah,
hate the people that get bitten because then you remove what they have and they're responsible for their people, right? So there's that whole thing. But in our case, no, it wouldn't cost anything. We do have that advantage, but because it doesn't cost anything, when I go to the emergency, there's another 50 people there with throat pain, with a UTI, with all these little problems that back up the entire system that slows down everything. And so a lot of Canadians will complain saying, I go to the emergency and I wait 12 hours. Well, yes, you wait 12 hours when you go for nothing. But if you get bit by a venomous
yeah,
snake, you're going to get a bit instantly. You know what I mean? So it's,
yep.
it's, to me, it's good and bad, but we're not Americans, so I don't quite understand it. I just hear these bills and it scares the shit out of me. Um,
It's frightening, man. And I have a network of people that I can use for anti-venom, and it's something that's on the list. But I also, and I have my the Florida Snakebite Institute bite protocols, which you can buy individually for different species. But I just have the whole binder, so it covers like everything. And it's what you take with you to the hospital. Like you pull that page out for that snake so that they know how to treat you properly
yeah,
for
I'm
that
wondering,
for
have you
that
ever
virus.
considered buying used anti venom? Not used, but old anti venom or expired
That's
anti venom.
that's 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 mostly what's available, and that's the only stuff that's really affordable. Is
That's
expired.
like
And
expired is going to be usually a few $100 for the vial, right?
yeah, it's real. The cost is like real variable depending on which type it is. But like most medications, they don't actually expire anywhere close to what the date says on it. Like I've got some hookups with vets, and a lot of the medications my veterinary medications, antibiotics and stuff that I'll get for free or next to free because I have some family members that are vets and stuff, and they have to, as a vet, like throw stuff out when it expires. But good vets also know the data on how long these things are really good for. You know what I'm saying? And so I've gotten lots of medications for free or next to nothing because they were expired or close to being expired. And it would be the same thing with the antivenom. But my snake bite protocols binder, um, I added an additional page to it. It's the first page when you open it up in there, and it big bold black letters it says "Don't get bit, dumbass." So yeah, as my buddy Randall says, keep your fingers out of their mouths. You don't have to worry about it.
That's a good protocol.
Yeah, yeah. I would assume. that you guys wanted to talk about some green tree pythons a little bit
Oh,
tonight.
yes.
Probably, but you know what? You're directing the conversation, so
Right.
I
We're
still find it freaking
Look,
interesting, man.
absolutely, man.
I, I,
However you
I
want to
can do
direct
this
this
shit
one.
for I can do this shit for weeks on end. So please, it's y'all's show. Please ask me
No,
some
but
questions
in
Listen,
the
whenever
end,
you want to
listen, we
man,
could have you on for a part two. That's right.
you're
I mean,
ask.
you're a wealth of knowledge. I find it actually interesting. So I've worked with venomous very seldomly. Like I used to work in a reptile zoo, and I've worked with Gilas. I've worked with a lot of mildly venomous animals, from
Yeah,
copperheads. I've done what copperheads, eastern diamondbacks. I've done well, gaboons. We had some.
yeah,
I done like mangroves, which are almost to say not venomous, but are
yeah,
rear fang. I've done a little bit, but my experience is very little. I only did it because it was part of my job, and I kind of enjoyed it.
yeah,
That being said,
yeah,
I'd never have venomous at my house. I think honestly, I think I have too many bad habits that would get me killed. I honestly, genuinely think that keeping snakes for 30 plus years that are non venomous is probably would make me the worst venomous keeper. Not to mention that
it's
it's
good to be
illegal here,
aware of
but
that.
yeah. So, but I still find it interesting. I find it cool. And like when you're talking about Gilas, it's so funny because like Gilas are like the type of venomous animal that you handle with your hands. Like they're like, unless I'm wrong, that's what we did in the 90s. So,
That's the best way to handle them is with your hands. Like you could kind of like tail and hook them a little bit. The beateds even more because they're so much bigger. Like my
I was going to
beaded
say they're
lizard is
much
fucking
longer.
my male's a 3.5 foot long dragon. He's a monster. Um, but yeah, I just grab them by their tails if I'm just moving them, just pulling them out of the enclosure and dropping them into a tub so I can clean. Or the beetles are cohabs, so I have to separate to feed. I pull the girls out and put them in separate tubs and feed them, and then feed the male in the enclosure. He's kind of an asshole already anyway, so I don't like messing with him as much as the girls. They'll probably all come out in the morning to be cleaned, but the uh, the Gilas can spin around on you a little easier, grabbing them by the tail because they're not as long and their tails are much shorter. But they're just not. I mean, mine are all pretty chill. Like every single one of them would bite you if you like rubbed them the wrong way, so to speak. But I find them really easy to just pick up, and I can't like I can't. I'm sitting here thinking about it. I just can't think of a better way to pick them up than with your hands.
Yeah.
One
The
of my
only,
local buddies uses welding gloves, and then he just like if they bite onto the glove, he just because he doesn't trust the gloves, but the gloves they're like oversized, so he just like
slides his
gets
hands
out
right
his
up.
gloves.
The only other way I've seen people is I'm trying to think of what the heck the names are. West tongs or West the really long
Yeah,
the blue handle with the
yep,
red
yeah,
clip.
Midwest Toms.
Midwest. There you go. Thank you. So like the big Midwest tongs that have like the soft grip at the end. I've seen people use
Yeah,
those ones that are not the
yeah.
4 foot one, but like the 18-inch one that are. And I've seen people pick them up like that, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that working. But just with Gilas, for me, when I did that, and again a long time ago, um, they were just they're not a very fast animal. It's pretty easy to grab from behind and grab right behind the head, like, and again, you can do it gently with, in my opinion, very minimal risk, and I found it the safest way to do it. But yeah, anyway, I just,
You
again,
you
this
can
coming
also
from the
with
most non-venomous keeper ever, like I don't keep anything venomous, and I haven't in the longest time.
yeah. Yeah, I know a few people that use padded tongs to pick up babies, um, but I haven't I haven't produced them yet, and I've only ever had one baby Gila and one baby beaded lizard. Um, and they're really low maintenance. So you don't have to like they have a snake metabolism. That's why I keep them. Because I can feed them on the same feed and clean them on the same schedule as my snakes, which is to say I don't have a schedule. I just kind of do it when I have time, and they do just fine that way. So yeah, I feed them medium rat. The beeteds, I'll get a medium rat every whenever, just like a lot of my other snakes and stuff too.
Yeah, you gotta
But
love
yeah,
the I don't care schedule for feeding. I feed them when I have time. Those are the perfect animals for me too.
yep,
The
yep,
when I
yeah. The
have
only
time.
thing is fed on the only thing is fed on anything resembling a schedule is babies. If it's been a week since a baby snake is eaten, I'm like, okay, I got like, I've got baby snakes. Depends on the species. I'm usually in that room feeding a couple times a week, but I have stuff where depending on what my schedule is like, I might feed them at a 4 day interval. It might be an 8 day interval. I try to keep most of my baby snakes at like 4 to 6 day feeding intervals, with the exception of a few species of vipers that have ultra slow metabolisms, like oh, I didn't bring up any of those. Fuck, man. I've got all all three of all the Tropidolamus too. I have Wagler's vipers and Tropidolaemus latissinctus, which turns out is not actually a species. They got speciated in 2007, described in 2007, but they're actually turns out they're just a color phase of subannulatus. But I have subannulatus, Wagleri, and latissinctus, which eventually we'll just start calling Sulawesi subannulatus, the banded phase or whatever. I was first person in the States and the only person in the States until just a couple weeks ago to breed Laticinctus. And until somebody proves otherwise, which still hasn't happened, it's been some years now. I thought I was the first person in the world to breed those in captivity, but a guy in China did it on the same day as me, and actually his litter was born a few hours before mine. And so I'm still calling it a tie because the date was the same. But there's guys in Indo that claim they've done it, but none of them can produce any evidence that it wasn't just wild caught gravid females. So um, I still have yet to have anybody prove to me that they were actually bred in captivity before the date that myself and the gentleman in China had babies. But the tropes are super, they're like a arboreal gaboon viper. Like they sit in one spot for long, long, long periods of time, completely motionless. And um, they literally, adult females will defecate like 3 times a year. Um, I used to think that that was strictly just a captivity thing, but I have since seen lots and lots of pictures of females in the wild that looked like they were carrying several meals in them, you know? So, it makes me wonder about that. But they also get, rain dumped on them every single day in the wild too. But um, I feed those babies once every 2 weeks. They're just, they're just super, super slow metabolism. And they grow just fine like that. And then the adults, I feed the adult males, um, like like a peach fuzzy, every 4, 5, 6 weeks, something like that. And they grow, and they actually have a couple of my males are looking a little chunky from that. So if you feed them geckos on a schedule like that, like you can feed an adult male like a like an adult house gecko every which is much bigger than a you know peach fuzzy. You feed them one of those about every 6 weeks or so. Um, and they keep a kind of a leaner look, but a healthier look than when they're on the rodents. Unfortunate to like I can go pluck Mediterranean geckos off the wall outside. I just go turn my porch light on and go
Free
pull
food.
a gecko off the wall if I need to. But I like my geckos, so I try not to do that too often. Um, but and they're having a rough year this year. It's really hot and dry right now. I haven't seen any in a while. Um, but yeah, I got a little sidetracked there. We're just talking about feeding schedules, but everything else, you know, the mangroves and the colubrids, all the colubrids, I try to make sure they eat at least once a week, if not twice, because I'm trying to just get them big and get them out the door, you know. Um, but everything else, the only time I have anything on a schedule is if I do some food cycling. So if I'm like cycling up the girls, I maybe feed certain females, depending on the species, weekly or even twice a week, really small meals. Give them that abundant signal to get their system cranking up.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're probably not even going to get to the green trees. We're going to have to try to find more time to bring you back on because you said you had a pretty much
We do
hard
that.
out at about an hour and a half, and we're 15 minutes in. So because of
Yeah,
that, I'm going to say I'm going to keep asking questions down the same lines that we're going. I don't know about you, Shan, if you're good with that. Because
I'm
at
good
this
with
point,
that.
I'm not going to try to do a 15-minute
yeah,
show on green trees with you. It's just too
If
much.
yeah,
if you're okay with coming back, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
we can find out if we
yeah.
find it.
You can't do a 15-hour show on green trees with me. So,
Well, we can do a
but
15-hour show if you want to as well.
Isn't
We're,
there
we're
like a part five out there with you somewhere?
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been on MJ show talking about
right.
chondros so
oh,
many
and
We
that's
love
that
it.
I've
We
listened
love
to
it.
so many times, and like I
Yeah,
really want to do a GTP show dedicated just with you because I think you're such a wealth of
Yeah,
knowledge, but I'm not going to do
we
it in
can do that.
14 minutes. So because of that, I'm going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
ask you a question about the venomous again because this is where
yeah,
the show went, which I had no idea we were even going to talk about venomous, but I love it nonetheless.
yeah,
So my big question
yeah.
is: you've got a really large collection of venomous. Um, do you profit or do you only make enough babies to kind of pay your hobby? Because I know most venomous are not very high valued animals, right? Usually they're quite low in value, from my understanding. If I'm wrong, correct me. But you've got such a large collection of venomous. Does it even cover your costs with
So
your production?
definitely, definitely covers the costs because most of these vipers have that viper metabolism, man. So it just like, dude, I have uh, male eyelash vipers that I feed them a fuzzy or a hopper like 6 or 8 times a year. And so I'm most of my ASF go to my chondros, but like I get really good prices on feeders. The fuzzies and hoppers don't cost anything, and they're like the bulk of my viper maintenance is changing water bowls, man. And I do deli cups on almost everything, So it's like that's I've got them on cypress mulch and leaf litter, and I can go in. I've got like long tweezers and tongs, and they have. I'm like dumping if the water is not soiled, dumping the water into the substrate for humidity, pouring more clean water in there. If the deli cup looks funky, it goes in a stack and they go in the recycling bin. And 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 pulling out one magnolia leaf that they shit on and throwing it in the trash. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes like 17 seconds or whatever to once or twice a week to maintain that animal, and then feeding them every few weeks. So it like the amount of food and maintenance is just it's not much, man. It's mostly just fresh water, and occasional meals and occasional cleaning. My Gaboon Viper, like my I have a few Gaboon. Well, I actually only have two here right now. I've got another one that I gave to a friend of mine that I thought he was going to buy it, but it looks like he's going to bring it back, and I'm gonna have to sell him. But I clean her cage, like I spot clean it 2 or 3 times, and then fully clean it out maybe once a year. It just doesn't like they just don't require any level of maintenance. So as far as like, I I don't pay attention to the money. Um, People who say they don't care about the money are full of shit. But it's not all about the money, or it is for some people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that are in this that's their number one priority is the money. It is not about the money for me. I would keep the Vipers if it cost me to keep them, but it doesn't. And a lot of the stuff that I have is like fairly niche. I also, because I don't post stuff, I tend to charge a lot less than a lot of guys do on all of my animals. Because again, it's not all about the money for me, and I'd rather them just move easily. And I like to sell to my friends, and I like to trade snakes, and I like to um, I like to hook people up, and I could, if I did this full time, sit on stuff longer and make more money off of it. But then I would, if I wasn't selling stuff to friends and selling stuff cheap and selling stuff locally and all that, then I would have to start posting things.
Is there
That creates two.
is there a good demand for it? Like
Oh,
overall, like the
absolutely.
venomous?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And now, for the most part, venomous snakes are on average cheaper than a lot of the stuff that I keep. But I also have a lot of venomous snakes that are like ultra rare. And so, like my Laticinctus,
Or
I'm
manchings
getting,
can't be cheap either. Come on, seriously, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like that's
they're
not
coming
cheap.
in. Ours were pretty high. Um, there's a guy in Germany that's been cranking them out, so they've been coming in and selling for about 2,500 a piece now. But they've been higher than that. I've never bred those before, but just starting to try. They take a long time to mature. My adults are small, but they're just coming into maturity. I say small. The female's like 6.5 feet long. I mean, they're fucking huge, huge vipers. They're just not big Mangshans. I've seen Mangs that were 8.5 feet long and built like they look like a big ass coastal carpet or something. So um, but like my Insularis all sold pretty easily without having to really try too much. Took a little longer than I would have liked, but I again didn't try too much. I hate I don't have a Morph Market account. I don't like posting stuff for sale online. I I don't have time. I love answering questions. Love it. I fucking love talking about snakes. I'll do it all day long. When people message me, I spend a ridiculous amount of time like mentoring people and helping people out and answering questions. I love it. I don't like answering questions for people that just are randomly asking questions about shit that's for sale and probably don't have any intention of actually buying anything. And it's not because you have to be buying something from me to get, like, if you have a snake question, you just message me and I'll answer your snake question. But it's when people are just asking questions about the available animal. They're not trying to learn anything. They're just tire kickers or whatever. I just don't have time for that shit, man. I have a full-time job and 900 million snakes and other stuff that I do. I'm hardcore into fitness stuff, man, and I just like, I like to. There's a lot of things that I like to do. I like to cook and I like to go herping and all this stuff. I just don't have time to post snakes. So with my venomous stuff, I hate selling venomous snakes. Like it's a, I like to vet my customers for everything, every species that I sell,
It's
doesn't
got to
matter
be a
what it is.
risk, right? Sometimes,
Yeah, and
right?
I don't like my stuff to be super public. Most people don't know where I live. I don't want attention drawn to me for that. And so the species of venomous that I breed, it's like the more basic stuff I can sell wholesale to some of my friends who do sell venomous snakes, um, and let them deal with that. Or I sell them really cheap to my friends just so I can, move them and I love that interaction because it's going to somebody that I know and they're not having to they're getting it for less than what they would have to pay somewhere else. Everything about that transaction is fucking lovely to me. Um, that's one of the things about selling stuff that like you'll just be really, really, really hard pressed to find people who could say that they were in any way dissatisfied with buying a snake from me. And there's one that comes to mind that was actually a fairly recent thing, and I could make real good arguments for why this person is wrong about what he said. But at the end of the day, I'm upset that even though I sold him an animal, a rattlesnake that was undersized, and I disclosed that up front and why she was undersized. Um, and then and I charged him significantly less than what he agreed to pay me. And then when he posted pictures on it, he was labeling it as stunted. And she's like, not stunted means they won't grow if you feed them more. And I told him, and he bought her right out of brumation. I'd only fed her twice. So she, on top of being undersized, like she hadn't eaten in 4 months. And, but he was local and he had cash and he had experience and there was a show coming up where we could meet. And I'm still like, even though I don't think I did anything wrong. I'm still really upset that this dude seems to be in some way somewhat dissatisfied with this snake. And it's literally the only instance I can think of. It's the only one.
Sometimes, man, you
Like,
just got to bite your tongue and just give him the money back, take the animal back, whatever, whether it's on you or not. And I think we've all been there because one negative customer
oh,
fucks up your reputation. It's just not worth it.
that's I've done that before. I did that just the other day. I sold somebody a chondro and a friend of mine, and it prolapsed, which it was fine at my place. And I think he fed it too soon and too large of a meal, and I think that's why it prolapsed. But I just sent him his money back and had him ship it back to me. No questions asked.
Safest thing.
That's
It
yes,
is.
man.
It
Yeah.
is.
And
It
like
sucks,
this is
but
a good friend of mine. I could have like walked him through it and all of that. And he reinserted the prolapse and just 2 days ago that snake I caught that snake looking terribly prolapsed. But when the first thing you have to do is get the waste out of it before you try to like reinsert a prolapse. And I did that and it all just went back in on its own. So I was like, oh, geez. But anyways, yeah, like I've had lots of situations where somebody like had some money down with me and they wanted me to like keep their down payment or hold on to it for later or something like that. I'm not about any of that stuff, man. I don't take deposits on snakes that don't exist. I don't like none of that, man. None of that. I don't even like to talk about money until I've got like healthy feeding babies. I'm superstitious as a motherfucker when it comes to all that. And with the venomous stuff, man, it's like there is like a liability thing. I worry about selling snakes to people who are going to be like free handling them on Instagram or whatever. I don't dig that shit. I so what I focus on is that unlike a lot of my other stuff, well, last couple of years I've been so busy that I haven't been doing a ton of pairing of snakes. I think I bring in more money doing this than I do at work, but it all goes back into it. And I have the capacity to probably make 3 or 4 times as much money as I do off of this, just of what I have right now. But I don't have the time to like be paying that much attention and raising that many babies. And it's different. I'm teasing you a little bit right now and saying it's different with my baby Brettles pythons that are fucking breeds to get started. um, or my bull snakes that would eat right after they pip if you put a pinky in front of them with their heads just sticking out of the egg. But it's different with baby chondros and baby vipers, like the baby purple spot vipers. I'm tease feeding them hopper legs right now, you know, like and they don't want to eat them either. I'm a fucking tease feeding gangster, and I fed all 18 of them in 14 minutes the other night. Um, and I'm having to like I'm using curved tip tweezers and got a hopper mouse's drumstick, like literally a skinned hopper mouse drumstick, and having to tease them and get them to strike and angle that thing down their throat at the right angle so that it gets hung up in their mouth. Like that's what feeding baby vipers is, man. I don't have time to do that with I could produce several hundred vipers a year if I really wanted to like, crank it up over here, and I have zero desire to do that, man. The vipers are that's a labor of love thing. I just absolutely adore arboreal vipers and venomous snakes in general. But there's there is no way, even with just a like my baby perps this year, the insularis last year. I'll have some eyelash vipers this year. Had eyelashes last year. I just started breeding venomous snakes 4 years ago. I've been keeping them forever, but I just started trying about 6 years ago and just started having success about 4 years ago. And I no way that the babies that I've sold are not paying for the upkeep of the adults because they just don't cost anything to feed, you know? So, um, but yeah, there's a great market for most of that stuff, and my animals sell with almost everything that I produce. I sell without having to like push it too much. I put some stuff in my Instagram story every once in a while or post on Facebook. I had to do a post the other day saying the post basically said, I have too many bull snakes, please help. So,
Hey, if it works, Ben. Yeah, so we're at your hour and a half that you've asked us. So do you want to keep
sure,
going, or
anything
you?
else you want to, well, ask me another question and then I'm going to go make some dinner. But whatever you guys want to ask
Yeah,
me is like a wrap up.
I was gonna say it's gonna be our wrap up. The only thing is your answer might
Yeah,
be another 15 minutes. I don't want to take you too far back, right?
that's okay. That's all right.
All right, Shan, I'll give you the last question.
Really?
Yeah,
You
yeah, go
asked
for
me.
it, man.
Well, I mean, all right. So that one question I wanted to ask you: when you're feeding those baby vipers, when you're putting
Mhm.
that in there, are they likely to drop the like? Do you have to stay still, just like everything else? Like every snake, just pretty much the same? Like, because I know carpet
There,
pythons or anything else that I have trouble feeders, and I put it in there, and I'm like, I have to stay still like a statue for a little bit because I know they're looking at me, and it's like, fuck. As soon as you move, I'm
yeah,
dropping this. So, are they the same?
yeah. All of that goes on, and they're not like, not only are different species different, but different individuals within the litter or clutch can be different with the techniques that you have to use. And I just have a ridiculous tease feeding toolbox and a ridiculous amount of experience with it. And and so many tricks, man. For example,
I'm
I tend to keep
I'm gonna have to pick your brain a whole bunch, man. Because so I'm the kind of guru of feeding compared to Dom. Dom will totally admit that. Any picky feeders, he's like, here, have it. Try to get it feeding. I'm the guy because I really have
yeah,
I have the live food, and I said it last time, and I'll say it again. I have more patience than he does. Um, but but yeah, no, that's awesome to have those kind
I'm
of
better looking and smarter, so it's okay. He's more
whatever.
patient.
it's
That's whatever.
balance. You guys got to balance out, right?
Yeah.
Look, one of the tricks I do in the baby room with, because I do have to like freeze and avert my eyes and basically not breathe a whole lot. But I have I call the baby room my office because there is a big office desk up there, and I have a rolling office chair, and I tend to keep newer babies lower in the racks so that I can sit and be comfortable when I'm cheese feeding, because I'll sit down and relax. I'll put on a podcast quietly, um, and some music that's like, I listen to heavy music, but I will usually put on something that's less heavy. I'll put on some Tool or something like that, still metal, but a little bit more chill. I will sometimes meditate for a little while or just do some breathing. I do yoga and just like I have a lot of breathing exercises that will regulate my nervous system really quickly. Because if you're rushed or not, you're not calm or you're in a shitty mood or you're tired, you will not have the same level of success with tease feeding your babies. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Baby chondros, when they're a pain in the ass, and most of them are not for me. I've gotten good at, like, for a lot of new people, any of them are a pain in the ass. For me, most of them are not. But when they are, they're the worst and of anything. Um, so you have to be calm and patient. But man, I get comfortable in that chair. It's a very comfortable office chair, but it rolls away. So I can feed something and then I freeze, but then I'll have multiple racks going at once. And I just use my feet so my upper body doesn't like I avert my eyes, I freeze, and then once that snake, if it gives me the slightest little, like, rolls that the jaw over just a little bit and gets a slightly better grip, or just that little subtle movement that it's like not gonna fling it, I'll start pushing myself away with my feet really slowly and roll over to another rack and feed an animal over there. And then I have folded up sheets of newspaper and I'll put that over the top of a tub instead of sliding it shut so that the animal can't has a visual barrier from what I'm doing elsewhere in the room. But I only do that if I think doing that won't make it like drop or whatever. And so a whole bunch of different little tricks like that. It would be hilarious to like one of these days I'll do this, but it would be hilarious if I did like a time lapse video of me spending 2 hours in the baby room, tease feeding baby chondros and vipers, and just put it all on TikTok and like put 2 hours into 5 minutes or whatever. It would be it would be hilarious. Um, but yeah, I'm in there with like mutilated mice and chick down and boiled water in a thermos and a little glass dish to pour hot water in so I can dip shit in and get it hot really fast because almost everything I have heat pits. Almost everything over here is a boa or a python with heat pits or a pit viper, and just lots of little tricks and lots of patience and lots of repetition and um, lots of these animals will throw stuff and fling stuff with the those purple spot vipers. They're big enough to eat large pinkies. These babies were. They're not always born that big. These She gave me 18 big ass babies. They range anywhere from average to huge. And some of them could eat large pinkies like day one. But I'm giving them a tiny little prey item real frequently. I'm feeding them every 3 or 4 days, giving them a mouse leg. If I had the patience, I would go back through and give them two or three at once. But I'll get up there and knock it out, and then just I get up at 5 in the morning, so I try to be in bed at a reasonable time every night. Um, and and that's when how I get a lot of my stuff done. I get up early and I get caffeinated and hydrated and get into snake rooms. I don't have to be at work until 9. Used to be 10. They kind of fucked me around changing my hours. I've been protesting that for a while now. But I have to be at work at 9. So I will, from like 6 to 8, do snake maintenance. And then at 8, I I have a gym in my right here in my living room. I only get to have time these days to go to a gym twice a week at best, and I can see my gym from that kitchen window. My gym, I can walk to my gym, but I have a gym right here in my living room. So I'll like smash a 20-minute workout while I'm making coffee and packing my lunch for work and then go to work and then come home and I it's cleaning in the morning and feeding at night, man. And it reminds me of something that Bob Clark told me a long time ago. Um, I said, Bob, what days do you feed on? And he said, Patrick, I have 3,000 snakes. Every day is feeding day. So that's what it is, man. It's always something. If you guys could see the phone turned around, there is stacks of Cambro tubs that are getting ready. There's five bales of aspen bedding, some shipping boxes, stacks of Cambro tubs, a big pile of bamboo perches that are being cut, some CD70s, some the little Black Vision water dish holders, um, 5-gallon jugs full of water, some stacks of tub lids, big bag of perlite and some bleach, an old wine cooler that sat at my shop for a long time that I never converted into an incubator because I like regular coolers. There's a Herpstat 6 next to that. Um, like this is all in my living room. On the, just like extra random shit that's laying around. So it's just like a non-stop like circulation of supplies and tweaking things. And I've got, you know, 18 more of those Cambro racks coming in a few weeks and gonna have to move a bunch of shit around and move a bunch of stuff out. But eventually this thing over the last few years has been evolving into being much more uniform and enjoyable to look at. I'm gonna have, 24 total of those racks, so 96 extra large Cambro tubs for
That's crazy.
grow out chondros
But
and arboreals and arboreal vipers, and I have a whole wall of focus cube arboreal cages that were custom. These racks are custom. The focus cages are custom. My focus cube cages, they have them. The stuff that they've customized for me are like they're putting them on the site now because it's stuff that because they're badass. And the my arboreal cages over there that I still haven't finished outfitting. I've had them for a year and just now starting to really move snakes into them. They have slide out tubs in the bottom. They have freedom breeder tubs that slide into the bottom, a little door on the base of the cage, so I don't have to open enclosures. I just open, pull this door down. There's like a little thing that slides over, door falls down, freedom breeder tub pulls out, puppy pad, water bowl, bam, bam, slide it back in, close it. I can run through. There's 18 of those cages. It takes up a big wall over there, and I can run through all of them in just a few minutes. I can do water and pads on 18 cages in like 12 minutes or something like that. It's a cool thing about arboreals. They're sitting on the fucking
Yeah,
perch.
it's easy.
yeah,
It's smart. It makes total sense, man. It's all about efficiency when you've got that many.
that's right. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, my baby room is the desk in there has got rows of tubs that have paper towels and puppy pads and stacks of water bowls, and then there's clean tubs on top of all the racks in there. And so I just, if something has a dirty tub, I just swap it into a clean tub and throw the dirty tub in the dirty pile and the dirty stack if it gets tall enough. Really, it's when the clean stack gets low enough, dirty stacks get washed over next door in the snake house, just all that. It's just constant circulation of that stuff, you know. But I'm obsessed and I love it.
Yeah,
Things
it
we do for
shows.
our hobby.
Right.
Sorry.
Listen, Pat, I really, really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the time that you've given us. I'm disappointed we didn't get to talk about green trees, so I will ask you and beg you to come on another time when you are
I
free,
will.
and we can do
Please.
a
I will.
show on nothing more than green trees, nothing
Yes, I
else,
know.
Yeah.
I
because I
know.
want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's totally cool. I honestly, like coming into this, I had no idea what we were going to talk about. So,
It
yeah,
it it went where it
we can
went,
sit
man.
around. Yeah, I can sit around and talk about chondros forever. So, just, anybody who's listening to the shows, I got my first pair of chondros in '98. I've got
Wow.
a whole shitload of them right now, breeding them since 2010. I've been keeping them nonstop. I was kind of off and on for a little while, but I've had chondros nonstop for 20 years. And I've been breeding them every year since 2019. I've hatched a whole bunch of them. I'm fucking obsessed with those two, and I will talk about them all day long. So Absolutely. We'll figure out another one. We'll
Sure.
pop on and talk about nothing but chondros.
Yeah, in a few months. I know you're really busy, but thanks so much for, like, first of all, answering me, coming on, and like,
Yeah,
like, man, awesome. Seriously.
Yeah, I
yeah,
love it.
So,
yeah. No, I love talking about snakes, man. It's one of my favorite things to do, especially with Morelia guys, man. Well, we all have to keep me from sidetracking and asking y'all carpet python questions because I get my fix from my Brettles and diamonds, but I sure wish I had a whole bunch of carpet pythons.
well, I'll try some of those tricks, and we'll see what happens. I bet you it'll happen.
Yeah, try hides and try getting frozen thawed fuzzy mice really fucking hot, dipping them in like really hot
Yeah, yeah.
water, dab
Okay.
them on a paper towel and offer just to try to get a defensive strike out of them or teasing, tapping the body and stuff like that. I'm just throwing things out there because again, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It's just I've never experienced that
Trust.
before. They just
I don't know what to tell you, man, because we do jungles. We do right. Jungles are so easy. I
I've
have
had
gelatins. So gelatins, I'm the only one in Canada that's bred them, and they're the easiest thing. You just put them in front of their
yeah.
mouths, and like boom, it's done deal, right?
Well, you know what my this might not work in your setups, or it might if you decide to use your deli cup, your water bowl section of your 3D perch for this purpose, and slide a short deli cup under the perch. But do you guys know who Brian Hummel is?
I do. He's part.
Brian
Doesn't he
Hummel,
do Brazilians?
he did.
Or
Brian
did? Okay.
Hummel still has carpetpythons.com and brazilianrainbowboas.com.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
he's a little older, just a little older than me. I think he's like just a couple of years older than me. And I'm 45,
Oh, you're
and
young.
I've been doing this shit for literally my whole life.
Yeah, you're my age.
And and Brian um, doesn't breed snakes anymore, but he was one of the first two guys to get 75% jungle jags. He one of the first people to do 75 and 88% diamond jungles, and he had some of the best looking jungles and best looking Brazilian rainbow boas. And um, he kept all of his babies. He didn't use racks. He used Iris 6 quart tubs just stacked up in a room. That the baby room was just ambient temperature, and they were all just it was just stacks of tubs in a room. He used dry erase markers to mark the outside of the tubs. I do that here too. My chondros have cards. Everything else is just dry erase markers. I just mark the outside of the tub for feeding and stuff like that. And he kept everything on paper towels. The everything had a deli cup for water. The Brazilian rainbow boas had a tall deli cup, so short deli cup, 8 ounce deli cup of water, 16-ounce deli cup full of damp sphagnum moss for the Brazilian rainbow boas. The carpet pythons also had a 16-ounce deli cup, but he put a crumpled up piece of newspaper in there. That was their whole setup. Paper towel, short deli cup for water, tall deli cup with a crumpled up piece of newspaper. Baby carpets would crawl down in there and get into that newspaper during the day, and at night they would perch up on the edge of that deli cup and hunt off of it. And that's how he set up everything. So my point is try different types of hides and see if you can make them feel more secure, and I bet they start eating for you.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
I like it, man. It's great advice.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes. Message
I
me. Let
will.
me know how it
I
goes.
will for sure. For sure.
Nice. Patrick, do you want to drop your contacts or any way that anybody can reach you if you want before
Sure.
we let you go eat?
Yeah, absolutely. On Facebook, I have a Facebook snake page. It's Arboreal Obsession. I think it's Arboreal_obsession, but I like haven't posted on it in forever, which is stupid. I should be posting on there every day. You can shoot. I'm Patrick Holmes on Facebook. You can shoot me a friend request, but you will probably end up in friend request purgatory with literally 1,000 other people. Um, And I don't know if your profile picture is interesting enough. Like if you have a chondro in your profile picture, I will probably accept it. Um, and um, but on Instagram, I've got my personal page. It's GT Patrick, GT as in Green Tree, gtpatrick.tx as in Texas. Um, and then Arboreal underscore obsession is my snake page. There's links to each of those pages on each of those pages. Um, and I've been trying to, I just started posting on Instagram more frequently, like just this week, and I'm going to try to be staying on top of that. But I posted my story pretty much every day, trying to do more posts, about to start doing more reels. I just got a better phone with a better camera, so trying to be more on top of the socials. But yeah, lots of pretty snakes to look at on those Instagram pages.
Absolutely. No, you've got some really nice snakes. I love looking at your Instagram. I don't usually do Instagram very often, but I've searched your Instagram, and yeah,
Thanks.
no, awesome. We'll definitely talk, and yeah,
Um, Dom's mic is out. I'm not hearing him at all.
because he's
I
muted.
muted
There we go.
He's
myself. I
muted.
muted
That's
myself. I
why.
got to do
Yeah.
it. I got to do that a couple of times.
Uh,
Listen, Pat, huge thank you. Usually takes about 15-30 seconds after we click the end button just to upload the feed. So if you don't mind staying on for 30 seconds just to make sure.
yeah,
If anybody
sure.
wants to get a hold of Shan Melanson on Facebook, Snake Frenzy, and Reptile Rejects, it's Reptile Rejects on Instagram, and myself, Dominic Cabano on Facebook, and Dom's Reptiles on Instagram. So to everyone, thank you very much for logging on. Thank you for the few listeners that were on there for the live. And Pat, again,
Yeah.
thank you. Really
Thanks a lot,
appreciate it.
buddy.
And
Thank you guys.
cannot wait
Thanks
to
for having me. I
speak
appreciate it.
green trees in the future.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Everybody, have a good night.
Cheers.